Sorry about that. I found out that it doesn't matter how much left cooking an egg needs. Don't put it in the microwave. What do you mean I went to cook eggs for too long? It wasn't even gone that long, like 5 minutes. So I just have chili and chips now. I wanted to have an egg with it, and my last attempt exploded. I'm just accepting that. Yeah, I learned that.
Welcome back, Bokath 1 heart.
I'm just cursed to not have eggs this week. I'm gonna text my dad and ask him if they can bring me eggs. Because I'm just cursed today. This week I've just not been allowed to have eggs. Thing's just been going wrong. Either I haven't had enough time to cook them, or when I do have enough time to cook them, I get like sidetracked, what you call it? Not exactly sidetracked, but like, what's the word? I get like sidetracked, rushed, and I'm like, well, I need to put the eggs out. Pull them out too soon. And I've just really wanted eggs this week. I'm gonna text Dad real quick, guys. So I might get eggs tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna go get a spoon. And it's cold! I put it in there for almost 2 minutes. Okay, it's not that cold. It's just me being picky. Don't explode the spoon. Shut up. I'm not gonna put metal inside of the microwave. I'm not dumb. However much you've heard about me, I am not dumb. I just get stressed out and do stupid stuff. Which I think everyone can attest to doing. Like the egg thing. I know in the back of my head, don't microwave an egg. But I was like, I'm sure just 5 seconds, 10 seconds should be fine.
As someone who doesn't play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Don't get me started on Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched a video that almost describes perfectly what I... You know what? You got me started on Yu-Gi-Oh! We're gonna talk about this real quick. Because I was thinking about it last night. And I saw a video. They suggested me a video. I didn't watch it. But we're gonna watch it together. Well, we're not gonna watch it. We're gonna, like, pick at it some. So apparently I'm not the only one. Which I knew. I knew I wasn't the only one that hated these things.
I didn't mean to hit send at that point. I was going to ask your perspective on an issue me and a friend are having because it's based on the wording of the card.
Me aspiring to fix a few problems.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain my reasoning why I hate them, and then we're gonna watch this, okay? Because I used to love Yu-Gi-Oh! What Link monsters and, to an extent, XYZ monsters did. Synchros, I've kind of started to see, like, that they're just fusions with a different step. You still need, like, certainly synchros, like the Super Dragon and whatever, abolish them.
During the main phase and during your main phase are 2 different statements, right?
During the main phase and during your main phase are 2 different statements, right? It depends on the context. But what I gather from now, I don't think so. If it's on the same card, it's referring to that main phase. If it's on the same card, it's referring to the same main phase. It's not referring to different main phases. Yeah, no. The reason I hate links, and to an extent, some synchros, is... No. The statements are different. The statements are different. But if they're on the same card, they're referring to the same phase. The reason I hate links is they ruined fusion and ritual monsters. I don't know if they changed this ruling, but it's still basically you have to use a link if you want to put a fusion on a card on the field. Because you can't sub it to any other zone but those zones. And then, because of links, there's too much special summoning now.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Basically, before it was, oh, you'd summon a few, right? You'd summon, like, I think, last time I checked it was like a max of 4 or something like that. For the, like, the crazy ones. But now it's like, here I am waiting 7 minutes, 10 minutes for you to take 1 turn because you're going... Link this, secret this, link this, secret this, link this, pendulum, link, pendulum, link, synchro, link. Hello? 4 minutes tops. If your turn isn't over in 3 minutes, I say you should lose. And if the game's over in 2 turns, it wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Because people, like, complain and like, oh, there was one one-turn kills in old Yugioh. Yeah, and guess what? With very little problem, they were able to ban the problem card. They didn't have to like ban like half the cards in the set. They could just ban like one card.
If you download Master Duels right now, Terry's an event on right now, which is the 30 seconds turn event. It's very funny seeing meta decks auto lose.
That's what I'm saying. Every single mental deck has to take like 5 turns for its freaking turn. Hi, Onion! Ryan! Do you want to join the stream? You can join in on me roasting Yugioh if you want. But the idea is they claim it was to slow down the format. No, they turned it into a crawl and sped it up at the same time. Not only does it take 10 turns for the first person to play their damn turn, and by the end of it, you know if you've lost or won because they have like, oh, I have an ungodly amount of things on the board. Oh, well, have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy your lyric. Or if you want to talk, you can. But also, all the old cards just vanished. They can't play. Like, there are some cards that just can't work anymore. Because they're beholden to links. And they don't have any links. Or the links don't work very well with them. Or links, like, make it where they don't even matter. I don't like how busted links are. I don't like how busted some later synchros are. Both of those need to go. So far, I haven't seen any busted XYZs. So I've been playing a little bit of link duels. But after they added links, I started not wanting to play. I really only play when they have the event where it's like, you're forced to play old cards. And then I beat everyone, because everyone and their mom's so used to links and XYZs that they can't do anything. They just use the preset decks that the Konami gives them. And I come in here with 3 of everything mollywopping you because I have a built deck. Because Konami's like built decks that they give you are 2 ofs and like 1 ofs. But yeah, the inherent problem with links is not only did they make it where it is meta to take 10 minutes for your turn and max out a board, but also if you don't do that, you're trolling. Because you're asking to lose. That, and they've effectively paywalled the game. If you don't buy, you don't get links, you suck. Because half the links, basically, like every new set has a card in it that if you don't have it, you lose.
Just add 3 Max Cs to your deck so that way by the time you get your turn you have your entire deck in your hand.
Well, no, that's the problem. Even a card like Max C's, which is kind of made to stop multi-summoning decks, doesn't work because they can summon so much that they can deck you out.
Also, links are rarely a threat.
No. I'm going to show you this video and I bet you he's going to say, oh, no, they're meta.
Creep and summoning monsters.
Here we go.
From the
Let's look at this
extra
video
deck
and let's see.
When the move happened, link monsters were hated because of the huge restrictions that were levied in place. Now, it's hated because it became the very thing it sought out to destroy. This is why everyone hates link monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's go ahead and jump on in. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how link monsters were supposed to fix the game. The pendulum mechanic was quite problematic at the time,
it takes
and
ages
links
even
were
when I'm
Konami's
being as
way of a
quick as I
soft
can.
reset to the entire card game. It was supposed to combine all of the other mechanics and unify them under one umbrella, but it's kind of obvious how that worked out considering the title of this video. Like I said in that video, if pendulums are the confused middle child that got blamed for bringing the family together, then Lynx is the deviant that gets away with everything and everyone else around it gets punished. Allow me to explain. Making their debut on August 3rd, 2017, Link Monsters came with some serious rule changes that punished every other mechanic in the game. It's almost like when the favorite family member comes over to visit and you have to give up stuff so they can be happy. And Pendulum's the black sheep of the family got it the worst. When Links were first introduced, one of the biggest things to happen in the card game was that Pendulums lost their very own zones. Before Link Monsters moved into the room to cramp up.
Don't get me started on pendulums. I don't even talk about pendulums because I hate them almost as much as I hate links.
The space, Pendulum monsters used to have their very own specific zone outside of the spell and trap card that you can place them into. And this felt a lot more complete for back row heavy pendulum type mechanics. Strategies like Cleave Forts, which often relied on cards like Reclate and Vanity's Emptiness to be able to play, to Magispectors, a deck that was notorious for being able to search spell and trap cards to interact on the opponent's turn. Even some of the most powerful pendulum decks like Perform Mage, Performapal relied on being able to search cards like Solemn Strike from the deck to the hand and didn't need to give up spell and trap card zones to be able to activate pendulum scales. That was a huge change that happened when Link Monsters were introduced. Another huge blow to the pendulum strategy is that pendulum monsters could no longer be special summoned from your extra deck to the side of the field unless it pointed to a Link monster. Pendulum strategies were often seen as a huge investment. If you think about it, you have to dedicate at least 2 monsters to your pendulum scales and then other monsters in your hands to bring them out. The reward would be in future turns you can bring those monsters out at the drop of a dime. The risk reward factor here is debatable, but one thing that did happen when Link Monsters were introduced is that it significantly made the risk much higher for pendulum type Yu-Gi-Oh decks. But that wasn't the only strategy to receive sanctions. You see, while the pendulum mechanic was hit the hardest, the other mechanics that revolved around the extra deck were hit too. Originally, when Link Monsters were first introduced, Exceeds, Synchros, and Fusion monsters could only be special summoned to where a Link arrow points to, or into the extra monster zone first. This was Konami's way of simplifying the game and slowing down decks that special summon from the extra deck in mass. If you actually allow me to rewind a little bit, prior to 2017, Yu-Gi-Oh was going through a really tough time. Decks like Dinosaur and Pendulum were summoning a massive amount of monsters from the extra.
I heard about dinos. Dinos are one of the reasons why I'm contentious on XYZs as well. A lot of the ones I've seen so far in Duel Links don't do that much. Like, the Red Eyes one seems completely fine, because all it really does is replace itself. That's all it's doing. It's not an Omni Negate, which... Why the hell is that a thing? Why is that even... Like, the only way I would allow something like an Omni Negate to exist in a card game I made, if it was as hard to summon as something like Master of Dragon Soldier, which took 2 different types of mechanics, needed like 7 cards to work. Like, you're seeing it maybe once every like 2 or 3 games. Whereas Links and these like busted XYZs, all they do is like, blah, I win. Blah, I have Omni Negate on 3 different cards. Blah.
And putting up almost unbeatable Yu-Gi-Oh boards. But at the time, the strongest strategy in the game was Zodiac, a deck that was built on being able to summon the powerful Zodiac Trident, but
yeah,
also
that's why I don't like
XYZs.
XYZs.
Spell and trap cards to be able to counter your opponent's plays. Now, old school Yu-Gi-Oh is something that I absolutely love to talk about, and if that's something that you guys want to see, let me know down below in the comment section if you want me to talk about old school Yu-Gi-Oh formats and powerful cards that were in it. So before I get beside myself, let's continue on about Links. Our very first glimpse of Link Monsters happened in Starter Deck Link Strike, giving us 3 monsters. Decode Talker, which was the strongest of all 3 of them, unfortunately required multiple monsters to be able to summon to have the arrows pointing down. Honeybot, the Link 2 monster, unfortunately required 2 Cybers monsters, and Link arrows were only pointing sideways, meaning that this card could not be a good opener. The last card was Link Spider, a Link 1 monster that is regarded to as one of the better Link 1 monsters in the game. But at the time of this card coming out, it's pretty useless, as normal monsters are pretty useless. And while Link Strike is the official release of Link Monsters, the reason why I said
what's crazy is them releasing Links and making like normal monsters look useless and stuff. They had a fix to normal monsters. I think we all remember what type of monster was good in normal monster decks. No, it should never be some, Saluna. It should be the majority of decks are okay to play against. There should be 1 or 2 decks that get hit before tournaments that just are slightly better than average. The average should be 90% of the decks are like back and forth. But because I know what Konami was planning at and what they did, and what people don't realize is what they did. They made it where you have to buy the new packs now. Before it was like, I don't really care about these cards. Now it's you have to. They do it in Duel Links where they don't release all of the particular like set together. They wait a couple months and put it in the next box. Their goal is to force you to buy every single box. And then they put very like key cards as like secret rares where you have to buy multiple boxes. What Yu-Gi-Oh is now is literally just pay us money. They've ruined the essence of what Yu-Gi-Oh used to be. What people don't realize, old Yu-Gi-Oh used to be a back and forth, strategy mattered, and like building a cohesive deck mattered. Now it's, even a Master Duel, it's, I need this many negates in my hand. I need this many hand traps. Okay, now what deck can fit in these like 20 cards that I can... Because you're going to use like 19, 20 cards are going to be all hand traps and negates, and it completely defeats the purpose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be 80% monsters. No. 60% monsters, 20 to 30% spells, 10% traps, 20 to 10% traps. It's not that anymore. It's half of your deck. Hand traps, negates. Okay, now what do you want to play? Does it use links? No? Okay, start from the drawing board. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! That's not Yu-Gi-Oh!
This third 2007
I don't want to play that.
Is because this is the very first time we actually get to experience link-based.
Yeah, Vader, that's what I was saying. It's like, it was normally around a 60-20-20. Like, at one point it became a 60-30-10, and then it became a 60-40, and then I think at one point it actually became a 50-50, and some decks wanted it to be a 40-60 in terms of spells being the big number. And then they added hand traps, and now hand traps are like half your deck.
Strategies. Code of the Duelist drops, and it's actually met with a bit of skepticism.
The only new card, as far as I know, that's okay in the newer cards is these cards. World Chalice and this guy. As far as I know. I don't know if there's cards that I don't know about, because all I know about now is Duel Links. And, like, I know very little about that now because they've started releasing links, and I despise them. To give you an idea, they won't even release the generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted them to release. They completely skipped it. They went on to Arc V and then the baby Yu-Gi-Ohs. Because if you've seen the anime, everything after 5Ds is crap.
Boy, the World Chalice archetype was the tutorial Konami gave us in Master Duels for understanding links.
Oh, do they have a lot of links? I didn't know that. Because in Master Duels, in Duel Links, they don't really have that many, I don't think. Then again, I haven't really paid attention. When I see a link monster, I just skip over it. Because I'm not using it. Basically, when I press the auto build button after I put the cards I want, like, the deck to be around in it, I go down to the extra deck and I see if there's any XYZs and links, I take those out unless the XYZ, like, has, like, one line of text. And then I look at that line of text, and if it says something like, negate all or something, I'm like, no. Because I play mostly fair decks. Most of my decks are pretty straightforward in what they do. My Red Eyes deck is a beatdown with, like, some like, protection. My Dark Magician is literally just Dark Magician. Like, I don't have any of the Link monsters. I don't have any.
Complaining about a lot of Link monsters in a game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Link.
Well, that's the thing, Gold. Duel Links didn't have any links in it at first. Links actually destroyed Duel Links, ironically. Because before when we got Pendulums, I was a bit annoyed, but I was willing to give them a chance. Like, I hated them from, like, the onset, because, oh, I get to summon 3 cards for free for just putting these 2 cards down. There's no real cost in doing, because I'm summoning 3 other monsters afterwards. But I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And then I think 2 patches later, they released Links and ruined the Pendulum set. But my thing is, everything after Synchros is a mistake. I'm sorry. Like, you could make an argument that half
Duel
of the...
Links isn't proper Yu-Gi-Oh! It's basically
It's
speed
not
duels,
anymore.
which isn't
Gold,
the same
Gold.
format.
It's not even speed duels anymore. They've ruined that format. They actually had to extend the timer for player turns so links could work. Hi, Andres. What's hilarious is I've sent them a special, like, they ask us every single patch, like, what would you like to see? As soon as I got Briar in GX and Grandpa, the one thing I kept asking for, because I saw Pendulums and I was like, no, we need to stop this now. Separate the generations. Stop letting them play against each other, because it's not allowed anymore. Because you've ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World. And you've ruined GX World by adding these cards. Both of those worlds are crap now. These were the 2 things I kept asking for since then. And since they won't listen to me, I refuse to spend any money on cards. The 2 things they need to do are split up the generations. Maybe the first 3 gens have their own, like, area. And then you can have all that craziness with the other cards. And then the other thing I asked for was I want, the Leviathan, movie generation. Like, I want skills that let Guardians work. Because that was the good thing about Links, is the skills. The skills allowed certain archetypes to work. Like, you could actually run a Gate Guardian deck. You could actually run, like, full normal monster deck without tons of, like, blow-ups. You could actually run decks. Like, the reason why my particular Dark Magician deck works is there's an ability for Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically that says I can normal summon Dark Magician. Hi, Dark! No. No bite.
But optimism for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card.
But, like, these rescue cards, they look fine. And stuff like that.
The World Chalice strategy shows Link monsters in
This card is the poster child of why I hate Links.
their potential. By using normal monsters, the deck can actually make a solid Yu-Gi-Oh! Board. Players soon figured out that the Agent Creation of Venus was really powerful for World Chalice because you can summon normal monsters at ease. This was seen as a pretty fun deck to play, but nothing too outrageous. The other strategy to come out in Code of the Duelist is Trickstar. Now, this is a really powerful strategy on
Bullshit
release,
card.
and the last strategy to come out in Code of the Duelist wasn't seen as too good. Gokis are a strategy.
No, I hate Cyberse cards. I see Cyberse on a card, I won't I instantly stop looking at it. I don't even care what it says on the card.
Trickstar
that
Funnest
when they were
deck.
sent from the field.
Gold, what you don't understand is anything after, like, early, and I mean early as heck, XYZs is a scam in my opinion. It was made for you to spend money on it. Link, stop it.
To the graveyard, they can add any other Goki monster from your deck to your hand. It's weird taking this path down memory lane because if you played in the Link format, you realize that Goki is one of the most busted
You know what's hilarious? They released Goki before they released
I
Link.
want you to go up against the Earthbound Immortals, that old archetype from 5Ds, and still complain about links.
You wanna know what the funny thing is, Gold? Immortals never even were a problem in Duel Links. Like, some of them had, like, niche strategies, but before they even popped off, they got some of their cards limited, and then some of their cards were like, I think they only had like one card ever banned in the Immortals, and it wasn't even banned that long because the second Links came out, you can't even use Immortals. Immortals were actually fine in Duel Links because in speed duels, you're limited to 3 zones. Well, besides the one special zone that's bullcrap. Before that came out, it was just 3 zones. And for the most part, since most people ran like 20 card decks, most people had a spell removal. So Immortals were borderline like bad. Because everyone ran at least like one spell removal. Because we have spells that literally say can't destroy this. Like by battle and stuff, and like get stronger. What's sad, Gold, is they're releasing hand traps now. And it's slowly becoming where I see people running 30 card decks now. Where 10 of the cards are just hand traps. So it's like slowly getting to the point where it's just crap. I would be okay with Madolchi if they didn't have links. Because I like most of their cards and their XYZs don't seem that crazy. But all links are there for is to sell boxes. That's all they're there for. They're intentionally released with broken effects. And Konami acts like, oh no, what do we do? We accidentally released another broken card. If they made a card that looks like me, and they made it a link, I would sue them. Because I have copyright protection on my avatar. I would sue the hell out of them. I would lawyer myself. I would read up all the books. And guess what? Since I don't have to spend money on a lawyer, only you're losing money, Konami. How long can you last?
strategies in the game. But at the time of Code of the Duelist, you have to remember players are still stuck on the Synchro, Exceed, and
That's 99% of the complaints, Gold, is people taking goddamn forever. That or game's over, turn 1, before I even get to play. Because I didn't run this specific hand trap. Imagine it's a ritual, I would die happiness. Rituals were probably my most favorite cards. But, like I said,
pendulum lines as well as fusion. You see, typically these type effects aren't necessarily broken with those particular mechanics, because in order to be able to gain these effects, you needed to have 2 monsters on the field with the same level, or you needed a tuner monster to synchro summon them with, or you needed...
That's why I'm kind of okay with synchros, except for there are some synchros that doesn't even matter, because once you bring them out, their link says, oh, summon me to the field.
You heard of Megalith? It's a really fun, non-competitive ritual deck.
Oh yeah, I have some of the Megaliths. I'm trying to get them because I really like them. But they're hard to get because, like I said, Lynx likes to spread out the cards to force you to go into multiple boxes.
Polymerization.
I just recently finishing my... I think I'm still one off from finishing my Lightbringers deck. What card did I finish recently? I think it was 7 Samurai.
Be able to fuse these cards off the field. Basically, these
Want
cards
me to set it to just
mechanic,
chatting?
another layer.
We're about to go back to
gain the
Fantagio.
benefits of searching other Goki cards from your deck to your hand. And it's a little bit of foreshadowing, but this becomes one of the Baguska to Tire Taper. This card is seen as Konami's proverbial nail in the coffin, as its effects are detrimental to anything not a Link-based Yu-Gi-Oh!
There you go. This is why I don't like XYZs either, because they support Link's taking over the format.
Deck. At the time of this card's making, it was oppressive enough to discourage players from playing anything that wasn't a Link-based Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Like I said in the early analogy, it rewarded the deviant and punished everyone else. But the real game changer inside of this circuit break set isn't evenly matched. The card was crazy, but the genuine problematic card is Spiral Double Helix. Spiral Double Helix gave support to the Spiral strategy, a deck that did not see play when it made its debut in Dark Illusions. But everything was set to change around this card, giving you the ability to be able to special summon a Spiral monster from your deck, combined with the mechanic on how Link monsters operate, made this the tier 0 deck of the format. Allow me...
No such thing as a tier 0 deck. I know, I feel like tier 0 was made up by people that they started playing after like XYZs or something. Tier 0 is a deck that needs to be banned outright. We're not waiting for a tournament. We're not waiting for this. You should have thought better. You should have crafted better when you were creating these cards. That card is not allowed. I don't think any deck should be so powerful that it's making other meta decks look not good. Like, you shouldn't have a deck that just exceeds all of the other decks by margins.
Tier 0 is an Exodia deck which guarantees all Exodia parts.
But you wanna know what's hilarious? You wanna know what's hilarious about that, Gold? Exodia is so easy to fix, because usually it's just like one small oversight that allowed a certain draw card to get out of hand. That's why they're so careful with draw cards. What's hilarious is if they banned Exodia, like just the head, it would instantly make draw cards allowed again. I think. Because at this stage of the game, with how fast links are and stuff, I think a lot of pros would probably agree with me.
Gonna DM you an Exodia deck that has to be tier 0.
Gold. Ban the left hand. No, you ban the head, because the head, technically you're only... isn't it all of them are limited to 1 or something? Like, collectively? Or something like that? No one got first already? That's crazy. Or did we, like, refresh the stream?
Go look.
Oh, look at this deck. You're literally showing me a deck full of Pot of Greeds, which wouldn't even be allowed even if Pot of Greed was legal. Ban the feats because of the freaks. Shut up, guys. You ban the head because it has all the effects on it. And, like, the hands and arms can be used for like niche, normal monster, small monster strategies. You ban the head because since it's an effect monster, it's already limited. Like, there's not many strategies it can be used outside of itself. No. What they need to do is do a complete reset. Go back to Gen 1, 2, and 3. I think up to GX. Everything after GX, banned. Actually, I'd be kind of okay with 5Ds. But not in normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Because at 40 cards, I guess that would necessitate certain things. Like, Immortals would come back to being a problem.
All this yapping when you just need to get good.
No, we're not using that excuse. A card game by design is slightly RNG based because you can't guarantee cards being in your hand. So you cannot require me to have a card in my hand or I lose. Because that just feels shitty. I've heard that Odd Eyes Dragon is considered me by a lot of people. That's why I'm kind of okay with XYZ, with some pendulums, because I've seen that a lot of them aren't terrible. But a lot of them, like, do stuff I don't like. Like, they have too much freedom. Here's the thing. Any card that locks out a part of the game should be hard to get out. Or should be limited. Like, the only card I was okay with banning spells or traps was the Talisman Master guy. Although, before they, like, changed him, you could have both talismans up at the same time. But I think they, like, rewrote him really quickly after that.
This is unfair. My car that was breaking record on the track in the 1980s is struggling to keep up with these 3,000 horsepower modern cars. They should limit all the cars to 100 miles per hour because that's what I'm used to.
That's not even an argument, Gold. In every single racing format, the cars are all the same. Like, they literally have regulations to make sure people aren't, like, sneaking in some new fancy car. Like, first and foremost, the car can't go so fast that it incapacitates your rider. Second,
Mother Booker, I want to be a centipede.
Well, then be a centipede.
To explain. You
We're
see,
getting
by
off topic
design,
here.
Link monsters are inherently busted. Unlike Synchro...
They are. They're made that way on purpose. Because Konami wants you to pay money. So every single Link will be released busted. They will always release at least one card that's a Link. It's like a secret rare that busts the format.
Exceeds infusions.
It's a bit too easy for them right at this point. I don't understand why you people haven't noticed it.
Attributes. Link monsters just require monsters. It's the most simplistic.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Selena. I was hashing those cards too. I said, if you want to disable a particular card in the format, say the talisman that the Talisman Master can use that stops all spells, it needs to be
Please
targetable.
Just send me your deck and I'll let you know what to add to get it back up to speed.
No. You need to make it where the counter is counterable itself. Traps and magic cards should never be, like, attacked because they're so integral to the game. You can stop, to an extent, I would say you can stop certain... I think they need to do what they did with, like, level monsters. Have a card that says, affect monsters level 4 and lower can't be used, or affect monsters level 5 and higher can't be used. There's a reason it was banned for a bit, Gold. And the reason Raigeki is still used is because of links. Because links fill up the board. If you're summoning more than 3 things in a turn, no. They just, like, they pointed the hose at summoning because people were like, it's kind of slow. And they're like, bam. Yes, summon. Every single one of those cards, Selena, is used because of either links or XYZs. Because either they don't target destroy.
I hear your argument, but what's your stance on an old archetype getting an update and an old 20-year card becomes meta? And it's not all to do with links.
I like old cards coming back into the format, but I don't want them to be like tier 0 in the format. Tier 1 or 2, that's fine. Because that means that there are ways around that card. If there are not ways around the card, ban it. Hence why I say all links should just be banned. Because they inherently make the game worse. I don't think anyone can argue with me on that. Because I think everyone can understand that, like, if you don't use it, you're punished. And if you do use it, you just win half the time if the other person isn't using it. And then, like, you can't say, well, then just use those cards that say, like, destroy all link monsters or something. No! I hate cards as well. Hate cards are dumb. Hate cards are niche. If the game is entirely decided on...
This is a strategy game. You need to update your strategy or you will fall behind.
No, they've ruined the strategy of the game. There is no strategy. It's... What's tier 0? Oh, it's those new cards in the new box. Okay, give me those. Okay, I win. Like 80% of the time. Unless the other person's using it. And then which case I win 50% of the time. Because they don't have the card. Like, you don't understand. The meta right now is literally, do you have an answer to what I'm doing? No? Well, then I win. Whereas old Yu-Gi-Oh, it used to be back and forth, back and forth. Like, you had to, like, predict traps. You had to predict, like, you had to look at their deck, see what they're running. Like, first and second turn were all about what deck are they playing? Like, how are they playing it? Whereas now it's just, who did you link summon? Oh, that guy? I don't have anything for that. You win. Who are you? What are you playing? Oh, you're playing the tier 0? Okay, let's play rock, paper, scissors.
Tier 0 decks aren't unbeatable. I've seen a streamer continue to play Amazonas in current year.
That's
and
the
still
thing,
win
though.
over tier
There are
0
some
decks
old
like
decks that
Kashtira.
beat tier 0s because the
I'm
tier
stepping away
0s
because
have
this is
nothing.
giving me a headache. The game evolves and changes over time. You cannot complain about the new things when you won't look at new options you can use against the new things. Adapt or lose.
No. Gold. What you're saying is either I continue to... Either I adapt to your, like, thing, or I'm not allowed to play. That's what you're saying. Because that's what links are. The funny thing about all the other mechanics that Link doesn't have is literally this. Didn't want to run synchros? Okay, you didn't have to. You could run this. Or you could run that. Didn't want to run XYZs? Okay, you don't have to. You can run this or that, or like different versions of that. Didn't want to run pendulums? For the most part, it could be, oh, you do this and then you do that. Links, it's links or you lose. Except for very niche situations like I'm using Amazonases. That's one of the decks I use, Gold. I know what Amazonases do. The reason Amazonases can beat tier 0s is because they're an evergreen archetype. They have like a specific effect that you can't really say, no, you can't. Because the cards don't target. None of them target unless it's in your hand. Like, the only thing that can really stop an Amazonas is hand traps. Or you just have a better deck.
I think we need to step away from the subject and get back to the game. It's
Well, that's what I'm
frustrating
saying.
and maybe it's best to just stop it altogether.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like talking about Yugioh, because it's a crap game now. Hi, Yugioh! Thank you for the flash. Hi, Chief. But yeah, basically, to put it simple, I understand why people think I should just, like, try to adapt to links, but you can't adapt to links. If you actually look at them objectively, you can't, because they're forcing themselves into the format. What's the news, Gal? What's the news? Okay, now we're gonna play Fantasio, because that's what I wanted to play in the first place. Sorry if I got, like, extra mean about your card game.